Hi, I am Don Simmons, and you are inside the Sound Chamber. The International Sound Therapy Association is having its 20th anniversary this year, 2026, in Atlanta, Georgia, October the 2nd through the 4th, with an additional day on the 5th. We have got some of the greatest speakers, presenters you have ever seen in the world of sound therapy. You know, ever since ISTA began, it was really slow, not a whole lot of people doing the work, but there were people in the background. Now, as the world is evolving, the world of sound therapy is blooming. And a lot of those OGs, a lot of the people who have been doing it forever, are really coming out. Just like the guests that we've got right here today, Three Trees. Three Trees, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I love your background. You're in Sedona, Arizona right now,
I'm
right?
in Sedona right now. Yep, I lived here for 16 years or so, and I'm just back visiting on my Sonic summer tour.
I
Well,
love that. If
yeah,
you're going to be on a Sonic Summer Tour, you got to stop by Sedona.
exactly.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much. You've been doing the sonic work, this shamanic sound work for a very long time.
Yep.
And, you know, first of all, thank you for appearing. Thank you for showing up when the call comes to you for actually doing it. Three Trees, where were you before sound music came into your world? How was that evolution for you?
Yeah, well, I've always been into music. I've always had like a good ear. Used to figure out when I was a little kid on the piano, commercial jingles and stuff with one finger. And my dad was a musician, so I think it's in my blood too. And I went into that led me to go into rock and roll. And so music was always cathartically healing for me, a passage for that. And when I got into rock and roll, that was just more self-expression, and then that evolved into finally a pretty successful band. And we were kind of a jam band when jam bands were kind of just starting out. And that really introduced me to the energy of music, because it became less performance and more interaction with the audience and the energy of the audience. And when you're in a jam mode, you're feeling the energy. So I feel like spirit was training me, right, preparing me through the jam band, just really paying attention to how the energy is flowing and not know going, being in the moment, feeding off the other band members and the energy of the people. And so then that at some point though, we were kind of too good at it in the rock and roll aspect. So we were very debaucherous, stereotypical, crazy partier band, and we're playing a lot, 4 or 5 nights a week, and it was constant drinking, constant partying from 3 in the afternoon at setup till 3, 4 in the morning, drinking with the bartenders and bar keeps afterwards, and it was just nonstop partying. The answer was always yes to whatever was offered. And 4 or 5 nights a week, it was a lot. And I was always interested in spirituality and energy. That was always something I always just naturally gravitated towards, something in me calling me towards that. And at some point I really got into, I always felt connected in nature, and that's where I really felt that divine presence and my connection to everything. And so when I started studying mysticism and shamanism and every ism I could get my hands on, because I knew I had to make a shift. I was really longing for, the ego was full. I was getting all my ego stuff, and my spirit wasn't receiving anything. And that was really calling out to make a shift. And so I quit the band. And so I was studying shamanism and mysticism and things, during the band, but I couldn't really do it because we were constantly on the road and constantly partying. And so I had to make a decision for myself. And it was either the slow demise of my spirit and my physical body, or get on a spiritual path. So I ended up quitting the band and dove fully into the spiritual realm, and shamanism was kind of the thing that really connected me with, made sense for me. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know if I was going to be a musician, play music at all anymore. I just know I had to fill my
Wow.
spirit and get on a spiritual path. And then when I did, then some teachers came in that were medicine people. I never met a shaman my whole life until I was 30 years old. And when I asked for teachers, and then all of a sudden they started coming out of the woodwork, so always remember, ask the universe what you want and you'll receive. And so suddenly all these medicine people came out, and I realized that I could play music in a healing way. And so for others, not just for my own, you
Mhm.
know, cathartic reasons, right? Of releasing my energy and stuff and feeling connected through music, that could be offered in a way that really helps humanity, to be of divine service. Is how, so I always have a connection to that service aspect in my heart.
That's just really awesome. And what a great story. And, one of the hard things is making that decision to say, wow, rock and roll and party all night long, or, go into the woods and be that person.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I was doing some, I was living my dreams when I was a teenager. That's what I wanted to do, and I was making
right.
a living at it and successful. We had following, and I had to let those whole dreams go and create a new dream.
And I think that's a noble step to take that is not easy. On the outside, it seems adventurous and sexy and all of that, but there's a lot of fear that comes with that, that you
Yes,
had to overcome and letting yourself go in the world of shamanism, the death to yourself in order to live again.
yes.
I'm sure that you went through many of those iterations of your
Many
own
dark nights of
self.
the soul, yeah, absolutely.
Dark nights of the
And
soul.
my band members weren't real happy about it, but
I'm sure. Now
they're okay now.
in the band, what did you play?
I was a bass player.
You were the bass player.
I was the
Okay.
bass player. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was a little impetus that happened. Our band, we got invited to tour Peru. We were the first North American band to tour the country of Peru. And I was already like studying some of the Peruvian shamanism and stuff, just reading lots of books, but I just
Yeah.
couldn't do a lot. But getting the information. And then we did a 2.5 month tour of Peru, and a lot of conscious bubbles just popped for me.
Yeah.
And I remember this one moment where this band called Me and Ambrosio, which is an Afro-Peruvian group, and they came out to open for us, and they had all this African regalia on, and the drummers came out, and then the women came out, dancers with all the regalia, and that was the first time I heard real live ethnic drumming, and something just exploded in me, and I was like, "What is that?
Yeah.
I got to know
Yeah.
more about that."
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
That's really
and
amazing.
then that was the thing that where we got back from the tour, I was like, I need to make, what, or get off the pot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
What is it that you do now? I mean, do you play the bass now and you're
it's the one instrument I don't play anymore. About
right?
20 years now, and bass is not one of them. Still
Isn't that
got old
funny?
girl though. I still got her put away. She's still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
great while I'll do a open mic thing, jam with some guys, but no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tell us how the evolution or how you bring now sound, from the jungle, from the forest into the atmosphere of like a conference. And what does that feel like for you and for the audience?
Yeah, well, it was an evolution for sure. And first it kind of started with the drums and the rattle, and that, for me, the shamans of old are like the original sound healers, right?
Right.
They're using their voice, they're using the rattle, they're using the drum, other things that make sounds, and so they always have known that sound is a great facilitator for healing. And so when my teachers came in, it was that introduction to the drum, and it was the introduction, but not the African stuff. Kind of came later. I did teach West African drumming for a while and did a
Hmm.
lot of that. And so he was another one of my teachers, because I do a lot of what's different from mine. One of the things is when I offer journeys, there's a lot of drums in there,
Hmm.
because when my teacher was teaching me about the drum rhythms for earth and water and fire and air and masculine and feminine and archetypal energies can all be played through the drum also. So that got included and started to build, and things slowly came in. Just over 25 years, it's just been it started with the didge and the drum and the rattle and some the voice, and then slowly it was a bowl, the metal bowl, because I was like, I'm gonna break the crystal bowls. So those little aluminum ones that are kind of half metal, half they sound like a crystal bowl, but they're metal.
Yeah.
They have the
Yeah.
beat pulses and things. And I was like, all right. And I saw a Tom Kenyon movie. What is it? The Song of the New Earth. Have you seen
Hmm.
that? The Tom Kenyon
I
movie?
have not, but I've heard of it.
Great, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And the shades slowly coming in. And so in Sedona, they have a Illuminate Film Festival, which does all this conscious films. And so they do a thing called Real Experience, REEL, right? And so practitioners in that genre will do like a thing with the audience after the show. So I know nothing about Tom Kenyon because all my sound healing came from like the shamanic and indigenous stuff, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sound healing wasn't a thing back then,
Yeah.
really. And so I saw that, and he was singing with the bowl, and just a set of chingshas and a bowl, and he had an amazing voice, and I'm like, that's what's missing. So then I needed that higher, and had all this root grounded earth stuff, and then I like needed to bring that higher aspect in, so the bowl and going into those high voices and the singing really brought more of a balance in. And it just kept getting. Then once you get a bowl, then it's like they call all their cousins, and then everyone's giving me bowls all of a sudden and trading me bowls because I make flutes, and they're like, "Oh, I'll trade you a flute and a bowl." Suddenly, I got a bunch of bowls, and then it was like gongs, and then it was handpans, and it just keeps going.
I tell people when they first tip their toe into this world, I said, just so you know, you're going to be spending a lot of money. You
Right.
know,
Yep.
one bowl begets another, begets another, begets another.
Exactly. Like tattoos. Once you get one.
Right. You might as well call it good. So when someone experiences this, as we will experience on Monday, the 2nd, also you're teaching on the 5th, I'll get to there in just a minute. How do people respond to that? What is their experience usually like?
So, it's very journey oriented. It's very visual. A lot of people have a lot of visuals. And anywhere from, someone could just have see lights and visions and to all the way to riding a cosmic whale around the earth. I have had like people who do ayahuasca. Like I don't promote ayahuasca. I've done a lot of stuff in the past I don't need to do anymore. I get it. And but people who do ayahuasca say, that's the closest thing to an ayahuasca journey I've had without doing ayahuasca.
Wow.
So it really has a shamanic, the focus is to take like a shamanic journey with spirit. So
Yeah.
I always invite spirit in, open up sacred space. We invite that divine presence to guide everything in. We have a little pray in, and then the sounds, the drums and the things. It's a ride through the elements, through different forces. Some are activating, some are releasing, some. And so you really go into some deep brain waves where people really get kind of knocked out and
Yeah.
have all sorts of visualizations. And you know the drums is what we did for tens of thousands of years. We danced and we sang and we connected in the spirit and did our healing work with the drum. And so we have like a deep cellular memory of that
Yeah.
in us, in
Yeah.
our DNA. And I feel like, we've lost that. But when they hear it and the body's feeling it, like all sorts of visions and memories of past lives, all sorts of cool stuff can come forth. People see themselves in another life and another skin color all the time. Dancing
That
through
is just
fire.
really awesome. What a great experience. And that's one of the things that I love about the ISTA conference is that there's this breadth of things that are happening.
Right.
And to be able to experience your work as like a shamanic journey with sound and connection, what a blessing that is. Once again,
Yes.
I know it sounds trivial, but thank you for answering the call to do this work.
I thank spirit every day. That's
Yeah,
it. The journey, we have that moment of silence, and that's an
it-
opportunity for me to just
yeah,
thank you. Thank
it's
you.
it's
Yeah.
not an easy journey. It seems easy, but
Ah.
when you get on the trail, you go, yeah, oh, well.
Right.
Let's talk about what you're doing on that Monday, which is an
Yep.
additional add-on day. You're going to
Yep.
be teaching advanced sonic medicine, and it's shamanic tools and protocols for the modern day sound healer.
Yes.
This is a pretty phenomenal thing when people are, used to their structure of sound therapy, sound healing.
Yeah.
What it sounds like to me is that you're really blowing the walls away a little bit and opening up into something even more visceral, deeper. Talk
It's
to me about
reconnect.
this.
Yeah. So it's really reconnecting back to the roots, and that you got to be careful that we don't go too much into science because that's not where it began.
Yeah,
And that, right, it's tens of thousands of years sound has been used for healing, and it's only been a science for a decade or two, really.
right,
And and we just got to make sure, because we do that in the West. We're very left brain, and we like
right.
to break things into a science, which is important, right? I totally
Yeah,
believe that we need to explore that and figure out some of the
yeah,
science. We can't leave the important stuff of this is an energetic and a spiritual connected lineage,
hmm,
to sound, the sound healing and the therapy, so that so to help people remember, because it's not really being taught much, right? Everything's being more focused towards the science, and a lot of people are new to this, so they
yeah,
don't have that foundation in, you know, first, you need to learn how to work with your own energy body, how to, a lot of people, it's all rainbows and unicorns, and I can tell you, deal with a lot of heavy energy and move a lot of heavy energy for people. And it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You need to know how to protect yourself, how to build your energy, certain protocols, and also teach people like how to recognize when there's like some intrusive energies that are affecting people, and how to move some of that stuff, and how to
yeah,
go deeper into the chakras and what they represent, not just the stuff you see on online and stuff, or Google. But
yeah,
they're funnels, and in the shamanic work, you're extracting the energy. You're not really putting energy in, you're creating a space just like sound does for someone's own healing to occur, and you're facilitating that. But
yeah,
some of that heavy energy, I use vocal crystals and things, and you're extracting energy out. You know how to recognize that and how to track energy. So I'm gonna teach a lot about that, like how to work with your energy body, how to build your own energy protection, how to help protect your clients when you're working in the energetic realm, because it's soul work. It's not just science work, it's soul work, right? And this is soul work. So I'm really going into the soul aspects, some of the metaphysical, the spiritual, and the energetic protocols that I feel are important to know as an energy worker, as a sound
right.
therapist, to know that it's not just about the science. You're working on some soul realms, and there's some energies out there that you need to know how to deal with and recognize. And it's, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna teach a lot. I was like,
yeah,
I'm
it
doing the
sounds like it.
7 hour one, and then afterwards, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did this. I'm doing the 7 hour. Okay, so it's gonna be like drinking from a. It's gonna be a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, I think.
Right, right.
By getting people to learn how to track energy with their hands, especially for people who are doing one-on-one sessions and they're working with clients in sound. This will really upgrade what they're doing and kind of quantum leap what they're able to offer and do for someone within their sound work.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
teach some shamanic techniques that are still ethical to teach without proper shamanic training, right?
Hmm,
And if anyone's
hmm.
interested, we do full shamanic training, Mesa building. But so I found that those things that I can teach that still are ethically okay to teach, that are
Yeah,
very practical and easy to use, and will really help people a lot in working with energy, and even cutting energetic cords. I'll teach that, how to track those and cut them, crystallized forms of energy that can kind of settle, and
hmm.
they've been there a while, they crystallize, how to remove those, how to see how the chakras are spinning, how to extract stuff out of the deep center of that chakra, right? Because it's a cone, and the heavy stuff sits at the bottom, and it's not easily released. It needs extra coaching. It needs extra,
Yeah.
a little work. And how to use the different sound healing tools to facilitate those things.
You know, I teach shamanism, and one of the things that I realize is that people who come in don't even know what they're doing. But as soon as you begin, they feel, they understand the memory of times when they were a shaman before.
Right.
And I guarantee the people that come to these kinds of conferences, you've done this before, and this is a way to, I used to say, I, I help people remember more than
Yes.
teach.
Right.
And so it's helping people remember that ancientness within them that I know that comes from the bowl, the drum, the rattle, all of these things. And I know that's exactly the same thing that you do.
Right.
So will people need to bring their own instruments, or how will you be teaching that?
I mean, you don't have to bring a bunch. I'm not gonna like you don't need to bring gongs in. I'll have some of my own stuff. Tibetan bowls will be great. Some few crystal bowls. If they have a rattle, bring their rattle. If they have a handheld like buffalo style, native style
Yeah.
drum, bring that. We'll be working with those. And then a lot of techniques and for 7 hours we'll have some time to like get people working on each other and really putting some of these things into experiential practice.
What a great experience for people to have. Let me talk to you a little bit about the conference itself and the ability,
Move out of the shadow. Sorry.
yeah, for the ability to
Speaking
be
above me.
together. You've done a lot of conferences and when you were in the band, a lot of people there. Talk to me about your feelings about the group's energy and
Yeah.
how that affects the human.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's multiple parts to this, I feel. First it's like learning to expand your energetic field to encompass and touch others' energetic field. Of course, the sound is amplifying that and using it as the audible frequencies and all the things that are braiding in, the intentions that are braiding in with those frequencies, but also learning to expand your energetic field. I remember when I was young, before in my early rock and roll days, I went to a BB King concert, and he was just playing one note, right? And the audience was full and everyone's quiet, and he's playing one note, "Ah, wah, wah, wah," and he just turned his toe. Oh, and he turned his toe to the audience, and everyone, he didn't change the note, didn't do anything different, just his toe. I saw his toe moving, and the whole audience stood up. I was like, "What?" And I'm like, wow, he knows how to direct his energy, right? Or like the
Yeah,
rock and roll star who just people just
yeah,
they just want to be around them. And then there's
yeah,
the guy who's the most amazing classical arpeggio playing, but he's very inward. And people are like, you know,
yeah,
eh, that's great,
yeah.
but that doesn't touch me.
Right.
So the ones who are can touch everyone and expand their field out to everyone, right? People feel it. And so
Yeah,
it's also about
yeah,
tuning in to being what you're trying to transmit, being in that
yeah.
energy, holding that space of health and healing and spiritual connection and being. And so that also awakens and oh, I see I'm doing a little thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you looked
so
really
I was
kind of pretty
pixelating.
cool there just for a moment, but go ahead.
Can you still hear me though?
I can, yeah,
Okay. And so that people understand that there's another aspect, that your own work is important, to clean yourself up and do your own work, and so that you are a beautiful conduit and be able to expand that light outward to awaken that in others also. And so I think with groups, it's beautiful synergy. That's part of the reason I have a pray in, is where two or more are gathered kind of idea, or the mastermind idea, right? We all
yeah,
focus in, we have that prayer, we call this presence that's larger than us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's it's
And then
really
the interaction
phenomenal.
happens.
Yeah,
Then the happens and what needs to come through.
yeah. And it just sort of keeps building one on top of the other to make this beautiful synergy like you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Three Trees, I'm so excited you are coming to Atlanta for the conference. Is there any closing words you would like to say?
Oh, I'm just really thankful for Natalie. We've been friends for many, many years. When I left Sedona, that's when she found me. It was like the weekend I was leaving, and I did a free show to self gratitude to everyone in Sedona. And she went to that concert, and she was like, "Well, I want to bring you to Iowa," and that started our relationship. And then she mentioned, she's like, "I want to get you into the conference," and I'm like, "That's amazing." So
Yeah,
shout out to Natalie Brown, and all the work she's doing in the world. And I'm just really excited to share what I have to offer, and Yeah, just really looking forward to it. The being with other sound healers is
Yeah.
great. Or people who
And
are aspiring and learning. So yeah, preach to the flock.
and that's
So
one of the things every presenter I've talked with, and I've talked to almost everyone, they're all excited about learning from each other.
right,
In this world, you're never finished,
right.
learning. And I think that's a big part of it. We learn from each other, whether you're a presenter or you're a guest there
Yeah.
at the party, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's not really a lot of us out there.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's changing. When I began, a handful that I'd ever even heard of,
yeah,
Tom Kenyon and Jonathan Goldman, and now I used to go to a conference. I was the only sound healer, I used to do lots of
right.
conferences. And now I go, there's 20, 30 sound healers, so it's great. It's expanding.
And that's why, ISTA is really there to be the container of excellent practice of sound therapy. Because, I say you can order a bowl from Amazon right now, and by tonight you can be teaching people sound therapy that you have no idea what it is. But by doing
That's a
this,
big one. And I thank you guys for doing that.
yeah, and that's the thing. We want to hold that standard of quality in a very high place. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Three
Just
Trees, thank you
trying to
so
move.
much. We look forward to seeing you in Atlanta, October the 2nd through the. Ooh, that's
I'm
really.
getting psychedelic on you.
Well, I know. I was like, did I do ayahuasca all of a
Speaking
sudden?
of
What's
ayahuasca
happening?
journey,
Right.
I was trying to move to see if I got that looks a little better.
Little
Okay.
better there. But we thank you. We look forward to the experience on the Monday night and the teaching that following Monday. Three
Looking
Trees,
forward.
thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for all you do. Thank
For
you.
everybody that's watching, thank you for tuning in. Three Trees is going to be at the ISTA Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, October the 2nd through the 4th, with that additional day on the 5th, where he'll be teaching a long form of sonic medicine. So
Yeah.
come and join us at the conference. Until then, I am Don Reed Simmons, and you are inside the sound chamber.
Sound